How's that all going? Do you have to do anything specific or?
No, so this morning we've got like a couple of like different workshops and lectures running throughout the day that we can pop in and out of. And then this afternoon we've got some people coming to talk about more of like the hospital allocation system. And then a couple of external people just coming in to like have chats and have little stalls and that set up. So
That's so
go
cool.
around and start trying to do a bit of networking and all those things.
I think that's a very good idea. I think it's a good idea to go out and try to meet as many people as you can and just get a bit of a sniff and go in there with as much of an open mind as you can. Like that stuff is super amazing. So that's good.
Yeah, it should be good.
That's good. I was gonna say Vinay's on the call as well, and I think there was like unless Vinay was Abby. Anyway,
Find
it's
out.
all good, all good. I guess it might just be a bit of a smaller cohort today, but that's all well and good. It means it's a nice and more intimate style setting,
More chilled out.
more chilled out today, less formal. So that's always a better way to go about things,
For us, it is.
So
For us, it is.
most definitely. So, Larry, you've met Josh already before, haven't you?
I don't know if I have met Josh.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
Josh.
Josh,
Josh.
like, when you were doing reception stuff for us, you might have actually, you
Nah.
might have been on the back end of it, things maybe. Like, because when did you leave last?
I what ended like around start of 20 mid 2022, was it? I think it was just before, maybe. Don't know.
So I started with Colab at the end of 21
Oh, I see.
and
I
came
see.
across
Okay.
Proform end of 22.
So it might have just like ships in the night, just
Yeah, just
no,
passed.
just fast. That's all in good. That's all in good. But yeah, Josh is he's one of the masterminds behind a lot of what goes on at PFU, and he's here to help me out in this call. And like I said, also just like because this actually might be a good chance for someone like yourself because what you get is like not only information about like Pro from you, but you also get like if there's any like you're probably in this mindset now where it's you're in this kind of like you're doing all this open day type stuff and you probably got all these questions and stuff like that. And Josh is a wealth of information and leveraging off both of us, I'm sure you can get something more out of it, So I think that's all
Awesome.
that's super cool. We might give like these people like maybe 2 more minutes. If not, we'll get started because we do have to record this one as well for some people that we know that can't make it. So we're going to present it as if that everyone's here, but that's okay. You can just sit and listen, that sort of stuff. But that's otherwise cool. I was gonna say, has Jay reached out to you yet, Lara?
No,
Okay, that's all
not
right.
yet.
I'll put that on his radar because I think like
We need help.
we need help. So like that'll be
Can't just be me.
Okay.
Can't just
Yeah.
be Jay.
can't just be Jay. So like I think that'd be cool. And again, you also
Awesome.
get to yeah, because you don't do you know much about basketball?
No,
No.
It's all right, you don't
basketball
need
is one
to.
of it's like the one sport that I'm probably the least across.
Probably don't lead with that when you talk to Jay.
Yeah.
But just say yes. Say, yeah, I know everything about basketball. Just say Kobe Bryant. That's all you need to
Kobe
know.
Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a bit. I've been to like some Kings games.
That'll do.
I know.
That'll do. That'll do. You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine.
No, that's perfectly cool. Perfectly cool.
Should we just
No,
kick
let's
this off?
get this started,
Let's
So
just kick this off, eh?
I'm gonna share my screen, Lara, so you can see what we got prepared. But like, look, I already know quite a fair bit about you, Lara, just because for the amount of time that we spent together in clinic and stuff. And I know like Vinay, I think he's got this maybe running in the background. So I guess we've actually had chats with Vinay already about like how he's going to be included and involved within this course and stuff like that as well, which is otherwise cool. But let's jump straight in, right? This is Pro from University, right? So really appreciate you jumping online with us just to see what this is all about. This has been a thing that's been in the works for the last little bit, and it's one of these. It's a product of a lot of like hard work on our end, just because it's something that we feel so very very passionate about, And I guess its development actually stemmed from this particular problem. So I'm actually interested, Lara, from you, like when you read this stat right here, like I know we spoke a little bit on the phone about this, but like what's the vibe at uni? Like what's everyone saying? Like, do people know about this stat?
We've just started kind of touching on it today. We had a psychologist in earlier, and he was kind of going through some of these stats. Like, yeah, it's not what I think any of us really think of when you're first going into uni first year. Like everyone's just like, yeah, cool, physio, going to be a physio forever.
What
So
what are
it's
they
quite.
what are they suggesting in terms of like how do they manage this sort of stuff? Like what's his solution? Like
Don't know. Hey,
Doesn't have
don't
one.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, does this make you feel a certain way? Like, I mean, like, how do you feel like thinking about this? Like, you're about to move into physiotherapy. Like, you're at the end of your masters. You're going into a workforce where, like, you might have been sold the idea that it's going to be a freaking hectic job, but then we get some stats that suggest that 60% of physios think it's not a hectic job. You know what I mean? Like, how does that make you feel?
I'm nervous. I definitely didn't head into physio thinking that it was only going to be a 10-year career. So when you see like a stat like that, it's like, oh wow, like what is it what is it that's separating that 60 from the 40%?
Well, how old are you now, Lara, if you don't mind me asking? You're young enough.
21.
21.
21.
So, okay, let's just say you're 32 and you're no longer a physiotherapist anymore. Is that something that you'd envisage for yourself?
Not at this stage, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? That's what I mean. Like, and like in with your uni friends, do they express like the same concerns?
Yeah, I think none of us at this stage are thinking that we're gonna be out of the field by then.
No, definitely. I guess because even with that, right? Because I mean, we get these numbers from ARPRO, we get these numbers from the APA, and they talk about the attrition rates and stuff like that. And with this psychology guy, did he mention anything at all about like the reasons why it's the case, why the numbers are so high, in particular with physiotherapy? Because it's no better across any of the other professions, but like, what did he talk about? Anything like that?
Not yet. I'm hoping we've got a part 2 of this workshop today. So I'm hoping we've kind of like talked about the problems. I'm hoping part 2 is going to be this afternoon at 1 o'clock looking at why.
Maybe we should have. Maybe I should deliver this to UTS. Draft to UTS. Yeah.
Like I'm going to go in with all the answers now.
That's it. Because I was going to say, what would you think the answers are, Lara, from your personal experience, looking from the inside out? Like, so, like someone in at university looking out, like, what do you think are the things contributing? What do you think the major pain points would be?
I think some of the things, like I do definitely look at physio as a career where you're going in and you're having to put your best self forward every day. You're having to go, and that's right, you're seeing new patients coming in all the time. And so you have to continue to have this bright, bubbly, putting your best self forward for 8-10 times a day. And I think one of the things that I kind of expressed to you on the phone too, Andy, like already thinking about going into next year, I am nervous. And I think the people that go into physios, we're all got that little bit of perfectionist in us. We like to be able to doing things the right way and that. And I think it is easy for us to then fall into the trap of doing too much, maybe too fast, and I don't know, spiraling, and then burning ourselves out, and then not having the tools or knowing the strategies to be able to work on those things.
A little bit of perfectionism. We got a whole lot of stuff in perfectionism.
We've got a whole module on perfectionism, to be honest.
I need a whole module on perfectionism.
I think that, and it's funny because that's these characteristics, these character traits are common across healthcare generally. Like we get into these, like healthcare actually self-selects for the certain personality types that are predisposed to these kinds of things, because these are the things that we actually need to be able to help people. We have the people we discuss, and we bring up the concept called the human giver syndrome, which is essentially like we all are built to just keep giving to people. We have to give to people, to your point, 8, 10 times 12. Jaden sees 16 patients today, like 16 times a day. We've got to give. So how do we fill that cup back up? How do we actually do that without getting right off the deep end into burnout?
Yeah, it's a pretty gnarly thing, so because I think leveraging off that, right? I mean, like there's definitely that idea of like the if you want to call it the emotional and social demand, like the draining of the social battery, because I think what you're sort of alluding to there, Lara, is this idea of putting a mask on and like being something that's maybe not necessarily disingenuous, but like you have to put up a front to be able to exist in front of your clients, to put on the best possible face and, say the right thing, smile the right way, et cetera, make them feel welcome. And I guess,
important.
It's an important side of things, but I think also too, if you go too far down that pathway, it can be a tad toxic and a tad pathological. But this is some of the this is the research that we did, and I guess this is a combination of market research as well as like stats that have popped up from just the research in general, right? So we did our own market research as well as what people are saying about this sort of thing, and the big things that pop up are things like burnout, being overworked and being underpaid. So like it's because remuneration is a thing, right? You know, like I know it's probably like for a lot of first years, it might not necessarily be like the major thing that you're thinking about because you're just excited to get into the profession. But I mean, like, you know, if you've got goals of like owning a home one day, if you have goals of like
Cost of living at the moment.
cost of living at the moment,
Exactly.
you're exactly right. You know, owning a home, cost of living, taking holidays, having a family, having multiple businesses, etc., whatever the case is, right? Money now becomes a massive factor, you know, and I think an important factor. It's not one that it's one that typically within the context of healthcare is shunned because we're not money people, we're people,
It
right?
gets tiptoed around
It's
a
tiptoed
lot,
around a
but
lot.
it's the fact of life is you need
Yeah.
to have money to
There's
live.
two things that are guaranteed in life, death and taxes, you know, so like money
Yeah.
is important, you know what I mean? So the other thing that we talk about is like finding and keeping ideal clients. So that could be a mix of like, I'm not getting enough clients or I'm dealing with too many people that don't resonate with me. So but for you, I know you've got a passion in sport, you know, if you're treating a whole bunch of geriatric people and stuff like that, while it's great and while it's good work, and for some people that's what they love to do, if that doesn't really light your soul on fire, well, and allow you to express your talents in the best possible way, sometimes that is it's a little bit. Hey, can we move that screen over a little bit? Thank you, Brian. I can't read the next bit. The other ones that we have also is too much information and giving too much on the first consult. So it's almost like in a way like devaluing your service because you feel like you have to give more and more and more and more. And this probably touches on this idea of the imposter syndrome type stuff and not being able to value your time and what you're doing for your clients correctly. Okay, and being happy with that. No, the other one is the work-life balance. Okay, and too much work, not enough balance is usually the way it goes. And we feel like what a lot of people are reporting to us is that what they end up doing is that they spend a lot of time doing the physiotherapy thing, but then they end up taking administrative work home. They take other pieces of work home, and then what happens? Their 10-hour day in the clinic turns into a 12 or a 14-hour day as well at home. You know, we had one of the guys on the previous cohort that made it a habit of rocking up to work 2 hours earlier to feel like he was getting ahead. I was like, okay, well, that's if you're doing that because you're doing really, really cool things and you're wanting to get ahead of the game and you want to be able to still contribute from a client point of view, I'm never going to shun hard work. I don't think any of us are going to shun hard work at all, but he was doing it to stay on top of his notes. I was like, so like like, what's that about? Like, I mean, like, what is that actually about? You know, and I think, well, the way a lot of the environments tend to be set up is that we're actually not allowing people to be able to do those things, or we're not equipping them with the time management and the professional skills to be able to do that sort of thing, stuff within clinic, you know. So, yeah, that's a real problem.
All things that uni doesn't teach you.
100%. There's also the idea of lack of mentorship, you know, which is, I think, a given. I think it's a given for everyone that's like worked onto this cause because I think they're looking for something more. They're looking for something better. And then the next one is client buy-in, which to me translates to sales, you know, and translates to communication, being able to onboard, you know, like I think. You correct me if I'm wrong here, Lara, but I feel as though from what you've told me, I think they're trying to fill that gap a little bit, but you can't really know until you're in front of someone and you're potentially dealing with some objections or they're a little bit more difficult or like, you know, you're not quite sure how they're going to do. Like, it's like everything's good in simulation when like someone is reading off a script and you're getting an idea of how to go through a cell. But, you know, when we're looking at client buy-in, there's a lot of, you know, I guess, sophisticated communication that needs to be adhered to. There's a lot of ideas in human nature, psychology, and persuasion that can be adhered to. Because once again, like if we go back to this idea of us as clinicians being not money centric, okay, we're people, right? I would actually say that it's morally and ethically our obligation to be able to sell people the correct things at the correct time, even if they don't see it as valuable based on what we know. So if we know that an exercise program that consists of 2 to 3 weeks of X, Y, and Z is going to be really beneficial for that person's back pain, and we can't sell that effectively, all right, we're actually leaving that person worse off, and therefore it's a moral and an ethical obligation for us to be able to sell that thing correctly, you know, convince them, onboard them and stuff like that. But we don't get that training because we're not salespeople. You know, when really what we're doing is we might not be selling stuff in terms of products and things, but we're selling ideas, okay? Because people are coming to you as an expert to seek answers to their problems. So yes, part of that is being able to sell your idea, onboard them onto that idea for the betterment of the person that's in front of you, for the betterment of the person that you're serving, you know? So, you know, a lot of that is positioning.
Mm.
And a lot of that is how you position that stuff. But I think it's a genuine problem.
Yeah, and I'm going to sound like a broken record when I chime in here, but at the end of the day, these are all things that, again, uni doesn't teach you, because the uni system and the uni courses across New South Wales are geared towards the subtle push, and you're going to sit through this with the allocation stuff really soon. They're geared towards getting you into the hospitals, because that's where the most the largest health demand is right now, and it has been for decades. You know, the growing and aging population. We've all done high school PDHPE,
Yep.
so we all remember that module. That's PTSD there, but you know, because of that, they push you towards that. Now, to Andy's thing about, you know, the sales, the onboarding, those kinds of things, you don't have to sell somebody who's in hospital in a cardiac ward about the importance of them getting up and moving,
Yep.
because they want to go home. So, and realistically, they also don't really have much of a choice ultimately. So there's no, you know, you're not dealing with those objections in the same way when someone's parting with their hard earned.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. You know, I think that's a good point too, man. The other one was imposter syndrome. We talked about that a lot. Fulfillment, and this is probably one that got me a lot, because, like, I mean, I'm maybe a bit naive or a bit privileged in this sense that I think I've got the best job in the world, you know, and I guess I love coming to work every single day. It's the best thing ever. Like, I come to work because I enjoy it, right? And it took me a while to realize, and this is probably my own naivety, is that, like, not everyone has that. You know, they don't have a viewpoint or a perspective that allows them to experience that, to the point where, like, if you're banging your head against a brick wall every single day doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting nowhere with lack of fulfillment, that's going to result in resentment very, very quickly. And I think that's one of those things that contribute to the burnout and that attrition rate at the end of the day. Like, you know, you got to love what you do, and you have to be able to, like, live out some part of your life's purpose through your vocation, I believe. And if you can't align the best part of your value system through the work that you do, and it's therefore no longer meaningful work, it becomes a chore, you know. And and do you want to go to work and do chores all day? Or do you want to go to work and make impact? You know, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived it on multiple occasions. This is Proform. I'm very lucky to have found Proform now, but you know, Proform's my third clinic. My first two pushed me into burnout. My first one put me in hospital.
Yeah. So, like, and this is, like, by no means not to scare you, but, like, I mean, these are the things that are sort of out there.
And and you know, I graduated out of Sydney Uni with 145 other people, and there's probably I know for a fact there's under 100, but I think there's under 60 of us left.
Wow.
And that's 5 years ago.
That's crazy, right? It's not so. But
it's not all doom and gloom.
A little bit more doom and gloom, right?
But
A little bit more doom and gloom, you know? So, like, when we look at this burnout stuff, Lara, I think, I mean, you and I might have talked about this a little bit, but I think with the way that we go about describing this burnout is through this idea of textbook tunnel vision, right? Textbook tunnel vision being this limiting perspective that limits your growth, creative expression, and your ability to live your purpose through the allied health space, right? So, like, if you think about, like, textbook tunnel vision, is, like, I think where we often try to find security in is what we know. But I think what we're proposing right now is what we know has got us to the point where 60% of the people are leaving the profession, you know? So the thing that's going to keep you in the profession, and this is, I can say this from personal experience, not only from myself, but from the people that I've met and the people that are like me in that instance, that are like, I'm close to a decade now out and, like, love my job, you know?
Getting old, mate.
And but, like, the people that are sort of getting amongst it, right? Like, these are the people that sort of have found purpose in what they do. You know, they're not stuck by the confines of Brockner and Kahn, and I guess, or anatomy and physiology and all these other things. They're not stuck in those paradigms, you know, where they're stuck and they feel like they're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you'll probably get this when you get to the allocation lecture, especially when it comes to CP and all the rest of that stuff. It's the same stuff over and over again. Deep breathing, ACBTs, percussion, go for a walk, and flutter pep. That's it. That's all you do, day in, day out. You know, if that's what you love, that's what you love, you know. But at the same time, it's like, if you're locked into that, I mean, then you become a robot. You lose your humanity a little bit. And if anything's going to contribute to burnout, in my opinion, it's that.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned Brockner and Kahn, because I was going to talk about
yeah. So as you can see, like, we're very big on this whole idea of like why, and this concept in this quote we really love is like who you are shapes how you treat. So we want to discover what that is for you, and this is why the Proform, I guess the PFU was born, because one of the things that we know is that chaos, right, exists, right, especially within healthcare. Healthcare, it's a dynamic system. It's extremely messy at the best of times. Okay, and one of the things that in order to survive, one of the concepts that we've taken is this idea of like reshaping where you sit in the confines of you, your patient, you and your clinic, you and the organization that you're working with. And a lot of the times, I think where a lot of what we try to do is we try to be the hero. We try to do everything for everyone and be the thing that does everything for everyone. And we actually not let other people get involved. The more powerful position we believe in this instance, rather than to be the heroes, to be the guide, So instead of being Harry Potter, be Albus Dumbledore. Instead of being Frodo Baggins, be Gandalf. Instead of being, Luke Skywalker, be Yoda instead. Be the person that is able to set people up so that way they can go ahead and succeed on their journeys. Because I think and I know this happens a lot in physiotherapy, but I also know this happens a lot in personal training, right? Is that a lot of the reason why people leave is because they take on too much from their clients. They're taking on too much of the emotional baggage. They're taking on too much of the woes and the problems. They're taking on too much of the doom and gloom from their patients. And they think they're doing a good thing, but effectively all they're doing is they're being a bullet sponge, and they're being an enabler. So what do you do instead? Instead of just being a bullet sponge and thinking that you're helping, what you need to be able to do is be able to position yourself as the guide so you can help redirect it, okay? And actually help them properly, empower them, lift them, educate them, inspire them, do what you have to do, coach them, to be where they need to be at. Because you do that all the time while still maintaining your own sanity.
Absolutely. Everything's coaching.
Everything is coaching. That's what it all boils back to. Like, does that resonate at all with you, Lara? I see you nodding your head along. Is that a bit different to what you've come across thus far?
Yeah, I think like Joss touched on, like it's things that aren't spoken about at uni. This is this is why I'm kind of excited to hear a bit more about it, because that's right, coming into next year and coming into now starting to look for a job and working, I want to be able to separate myself from everyone and be able to come out. But that's right, I don't want to then be one of those ones that come out and then in 10 years I'm falling short.
Is it confronting hearing all of this and it like being the first time when you're so close to finishing that this is the first you're hearing of all of this?
It is. And I think I am someone who this year, and I've done 3 of my 6 clinical placements, and I am still a bit uncertain. And so then at the end of the year, they throw in all these facts at us today. And it's like, don't tell me this now when I'm already still, I still don't know exactly where I'm going to be. And then to hear that in 10 years, I might not even be a physio. Like, that's just, it's crazy.
Crazy town. No, yeah, 100% right. So look, we want to change that, right? Like we're here to help. And if it's still something that you're really heavily considering, like your journey really starts here. You know what I mean? With this whole concept, right? We talk about this idea of like redefining, right? Because like I said, think about like the things that got us here initially, right? I guess as far as like the fraternity of allied health and physiotherapy right now, we're in a position now where too many good people are leaving to pursue other things instead of being impactful within the space, right? And that's truly heartbreaking. I mean, I use the word heartbreaking there because it's just, to me, it's just not on, right? So in order to break free of whatever that is, I guess we have to go through this process of being able to redefine you and therefore being able to redefine healthcare, because I think at the end of the day, and I guess this is very much talked about in the first module that we go through in the Gemba, is that it all starts with you. You are the alpha and the omega. You are your own glass ceiling. You are your own limiting beliefs and perspectives, but also too, you are your own, new Elysium or Eden or paradise, like it all exists within you, so where's it better to invest in? Is it better to invest in the thing that is dying, or is it better to invest in yourself? And I think I know you well enough, Lara, to know that I guess you're very, very big on this sort of stuff. But I think one of the things that we know about in medicine and healthcare, not just physiotherapy in general, I just don't know if there's a platform too much. I guess there's too much of a platform for people to do this. Usually it's the corporate ladder, it's the academic ladder, it's the tenured ladder, it's the professional ladder. You go from you're a junior physio, and now you're a physio, then you're this, then you're that, then you're that, and you go up that ladder, right? When there's no real room for moving laterally, or even like moving like up and down. Like, you know, it's like you're sort of stuck where you're at. And if you don't conform, you don't conform. See you later.
Absolutely. And like what you're referring to there, Andy, it's a concept, it's S&C concept as well, but it's the runway of progression.
Runway of progression.
You think about that in terms of physio, in terms of healthcare, even in the public system, you know, you got your level 1s, your level 2, your level 3, your level 4, then what? What do you do next?
What do you do? Like once you've got,
Like there's no secret behind like a lot of these stats. They come out because those are the times, that 5 to 10 years, that's where people are reaching the top end of whatever ladder they can access. So if you don't have the ability to move laterally along that runway and actually have branches and like offshoots, then where do you go?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do next?
You're stuck. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. That ceiling's come crashing down on you. And then like when you run out of wiggle room and you've got nowhere else to go, it's quite confronting. It's quite overwhelming. You feel stuck.
Yeah.
You feel isolated. You know, you feel all these sorts of things. And it's
it's a bit graphic, but I think of the runways in Queenstown. So the runways in Queenstown, I don't know if you've ever been, Lara, but the Queenstown airport is like right in between a whole bunch of ski fields. So there's really tall mountains. So if an aircraft doesn't have enough speed and actually gets off the ground and gets up high enough, they have to bail out and circle back around and go again. And I've been to Queenstown 2 or 3 times now, and every single time they don't get off the ground the first time because there's cross breeze or something and they've misjudged it. Because what's the alternative? They end up crashing into a mountain.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit graphic, and it's a very similar type of thing. If you run out of room on that runway, there's the end.
You ain't got a hard place to go, you know? So look, I'm not going to bore you with this, Larry, because you know this pretty well, but I guess a part of like, you know, what we're trying to do here at Proform is try to impact as many people as we can, you know, and we set lofty goals and we set lofty numbers because I think a lot about what we're trying to do is very much against the grain. And I'm not actually sure if many people are thinking like us in this regard, you know, so trying to help as many people as we can. So 10,000 people in the year of 2024 is a lot. Try to inspire as many people as we can through professional talks and impact people through our programs. Like we're trying to set lofty goals here, you know, and I guess the way that we're doing that is trying to be like this guide-like figure, you know. So if we are the guide for our patients, fantastic and awesome. All right. But we also have to be able to guide ourselves, okay? And we also have to, I guess, and that part of our role in Proform University and how we want to give and how we want to help and how we want to provide impact is being able to equip someone like yourself with those tools so you can be that guide earlier on in your career. Because if I think about this, right, I went through enough bloody imposter syndrome, went through enough of the other like self-limiting beliefs, I went through enough of the crap, I made enough mistakes that if someone was able to tell me this at year 2, I guess, or year 3 or something like this, or even when I first started, right? I'm actually quite scared to think about where I might be today. Yeah, considering where I am now, and I'm very, very happy, and I'm doing a lot of really, really good things. I was like, I can only imagine what it would have been like, you know. But also consequently, I guess I also feel for the people that we've unfortunately lost to our profession. Like, what if they had this too? Okay, would they still be in a position where they would still be treating today, right? But not only treating and surviving, but treating and thriving. You know, thriving professionally, thriving socially, thriving financially, thriving in every sort of way that they can in their life, and I guess and have this very much an abundance mindset when it comes to their ability to do what they need to do, right? I guess would that be the case, right? And would the world be better if there was more of those sorts of people?
Yeah, I touched on it earlier. Like I've ended up in hospital with my burnout, but you know my stories, but I've almost been lost to physio 2 or 3 times in the 5 years. Every single time, like every single time, it's the same cycle. So you know, you talk about, you know, you're scared to think about where you would be because you know you don't know what that could be and how much where else you could have gone. If I'd had all of this at the start, I would not. I could fairly safely say that I would not have been put in hospital.
Well, there you go. You know,
like at worst, that's what it would have done. But you know, it would have, like, don't get me wrong. Like my story is my story, and I'm not going to bore everybody with the details because I tell it enough. But it's one of those things where, you know, there's power in the story, yes, but to a point. And these kinds of things are all the kinds of things that I look back now and I'm like, if uni taught you even half of this, that stat wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
It couldn't exist as a thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's perfectly true, man. I think that's perfectly true. And this is where we were born. This is the Gemba, right? Like, and I don't know if I explained this to you before, Lara, but like it's the Gemba, like it's a Japanese concept that talks about where value was born, and we're value-based people. We want to be a value-based organization, and we want to help. This is why we're here. We exist to try to beat burnout. Okay, help people foster meaningful connections and relationships. We are relational beings. We are humans at the end of the day, and this is how we thrive. We also want to help people be able to master chaos, because like I think you might be feeling this, Lara, like, as you're coming into the end of it, it's like, gets a bit overwhelming, gets a bit chaotic. There's a lot of things flying at you. How do you manage all that? How do you manage all that, right? And that gets with, so being able to equip you with the tools to be able to master chaos. This is what we believe is the Proform way, and this is how we beat some of these numbers at the end of the day. I've already been through this with you as well, but just a bit of a refresher. Okay, like as far as like what we're getting with the course is a 12-week program. 12-week program, split up into 3 modules, okay, with 3 distinct sections every single week, right? So we have a pre-recorded lecture that we do ahead of time that you can get access to. We have a live call, which is going to be done on a Wednesday at this particular time slot from 12 to 1. So there's lecture, live call, and then we also have something which is optional for you to do if you wanted to supplement your learning in conjunction with what's being talked about in the live calls and the lectures, okay, which is what we call SDLs, or self-directed learning. This is where we put up articles, we put up texts, we put up webinars, we put up YouTube videos, podcasts, anything at all like this, where you can get some extra learning to fill your gaps within the particular concepts that we're going to be talking about with the Proform University Gemba course as we're doing. All right, we do all this in an attempt to help to meet you where you're at, so you can get out what you put in. Okay, so like I said, like the more you do these extra things, definitely the more you're going to get out of it. But we've tried to structure it in a way that you're going to be like, it's almost like you can't help but get value out of it. We're going to make sure that you don't fail. Okay.
Yeah. It's structured in a way where even if you did the absolute bare minimum, because that's all your time allows, that you're still going to get incredible amounts out of it.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, if you do happen to have, an extra hour a week, say you're on a placement and you're commuting an hour, there's podcasts there. You can listen to those as you go or something like that. And it's just that little bit extra.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So a little quote for you to get motivated, from Lao Tzu is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And like I was saying before, right, I'm not asking for you to climb a mountain. I guess what I am asking is that you commit to 12 weeks. That's all I'm asking for. Okay. Within that time, we're going to cover 3 things. Okay. Module 1 is about thriving with purpose. Okay. And this is the most important module in the entire course, I would say, because this is the one that gets into you. Okay. We talk about what your whys are, what your purpose are, and helping you actually get really crystalline on what your purpose is as a person, and how that's going to transcend into you being good physio. Okay. How that's going to transcend into you being a good chiropractor, etc. All these other things, right? And being a value-driven person, a value-driven practitioner. Okay. So once we get your why, we help you then find what your goals are. Okay. What is your endpoint? What are you chasing? What's your dream outcome at the end of the day? Okay. What is the big, hairy, audacious goal that it's Lara's job to go ahead and discover and find as a result of her journey through physiotherapy? What big dragon are you trying to slay at the end of the day? All right. We put those 2 things together. Okay. And then we help you formulate a plan as far as how you can go ahead and beat burnout. And then we wrap it all up within the context of the Proform way. That's module 1. We spent a lot of time zooming into you as a person, and then layering on that to how that goes into how you are as a person, how you win as a practitioner, how you are as a professional, etc., etc., etc. So really, really important stuff. All right. Now, wrong one. Number 2, all right, is that mastering connection. Okay. This is probably one of the funner ones.
This is fun for us.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, because once again, this is stuff that you don't get at uni. Like you don't get the art, you don't learn the art of mastering connection. And I say art, it's not a diploma, it's not a course, it's not a degree in mastering connection, it's an art form. Okay. It's something that's always constantly changing as you're interacting with it, and it's an art form. Okay. You have to sort of know when to push and pull, they have to know how to sort of work within that environment. And also too, one of the things that I think we really found with the previous cohorts is that a lot of it is also acquiring a level of courage, a level of humility, a level of, as my good friend Buzz puts it, bearing witness. And it's probably one of the hardest things that we can do as as humans, is actually like be there for one another. Okay. I was told a lot as a young kid, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. So you should listen twice as much as you should speak, you know. And I think sometimes we forget that as clinicians because our imposter syndrome kicks in and we want to just yell answers at our patients because that helps shut them up. And that way we can actually, that's us dealing with the problem, you know. I'm 20 minutes into a 30-minute consult, I'm going to shut this patient up so that way I can do my notes.
So, yeah, exactly right. I think like those kinds of things are really important. I think this module 2 is the one where we see a lot of people, like the penny starts to drop and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I've been doing it wrong.
Yep, totally.
I don't know anything.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's also the module where we've seen people go, oh, I've got so much more time now.
Yeah.
Like I'm so much freer.
Yeah,
Like I don't have to stick to my soap notes.
Well, it's funny, the guy that we were telling you about before who was coming in 2 hours to work leaves on time now. As he should.
And he gets there 15 minutes early and he leaves right on time.
Yeah, because he's a lot more impactful, he's a lot more efficient. Still working really, really hard, but he's working hard, but he's working better, more efficiently, working smarter in that time.
He's
you know?
productive,
So
not just busy.
That's the good stuff, right? When we go into Mastering Connection, week 5 is one of my favorite ones. We learn about making unbreakable relationships and building unbreakable relationships. Okay, and that can be not only with your clients that you're serving, but also your peers, other professionals. Okay, and networking opportunities and things like that. But also too, like with your bosses. Okay, I mean, like this, if you're looking to move into a company and become more of a entrepreneur or like a solopreneur type character, you know, you have to be able to work up and down the chain of command, right? And that's oftentimes where a lot of people get very, very stifled. Not just physios, they get very, very stifled. They're not sure how to negotiate. They're not sure how to talk about like, hey, I'm actually worth more than what I'm getting paid right now. How can I justify that? How can I sit and have that conversation with those sorts of people and, you know, fight for what I'm worth? You know, because usually what they end up doing is they end up just bottling themselves up into a little corner. They start quitting, and then they end up really, very resentful.
And then all of a sudden they end up in insurance.
Yep, that's it. And then we lose those people once again, you know.
You laugh, Lara, but it is so common. Honestly,
so
it is the most common story we hear.
Yeah. Week 6 is about becoming inquisitive, okay? And it's how you can actually learn to ask better questions. Week 7 is another one of my favorites. It's about telling a story. Because I don't know if you've ever thought about this, Lara, but like if you think about a history could be his story.
Her story.
You know, like her story, their story, like, you know, that sort of thing. You know, we tell stories all the time, and it's one of the best ways that human beings help to convey messages and meaning. And this has a two-front effect because we can use that from an onboarding perspective, but effectively what that is, that can also be used from a marketing perspective. We live in a digital age now where marketing is extremely important, you know, and oftentimes it's not the fact that you're not talented as a physio, you're not skilled as a physio, that's limiting your ability to have impact. It's usually obscurity. You know, people don't know who you are. So how do people find out who you are? By telling more stories, building a bigger campfire, having a platform that allows you to, bring people closer to you, where they can interact with you and learn more about you and work with you. You know, and you do that by telling stories. You know, so this is like a semi-marketing thing, but at the same time, it's highly beneficial because what it means is if you've got something really, really good to give, and you've got something that can be really, really impactful, okay, and you want to, put that onto the world, you need people to give it to.
Absolutely.
You know, and then the last one is about break the system and enter the matrix. Okay, it's breaking the confines of that reductionist textbook tunnel vision that we spoke about. Okay, and being able to become fully expressive in how you want to do your business. You know what I'm saying? How you want to be a physio, how you want to be a this, how you want to be a that. You know, that's up to you at the end of the day. You know, but you got to break free from those shackles so that way you can go ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Module 3, okay, this is where we bring it all home, is about mastering chaos, right? Practical applications for life, and I love this quote here, reframe how to think and make decisions in the clinic and beyond. Okay, so it's not just in the clinic and beyond. All right, and this is where we actually get into the nitty gritty and some of this really, really cool psychological research about how humans think. Okay, and different frameworks that we can utilize, not only just to solve really, really complex and really, really awesome problems, novel problems, original thinking, and all these other things. Right, where we delve into like how to solve order from chaos by using dynamic systems theory, chaos theory, game theory, Cynefin frameworks, and other things like this. How we solve for chaos through a variety of other frameworks, in which we actually tout a phrase quite a fair bit of solving for X, you know, and borrowing from other forms of whether it be mathematics, philosophy, psychology to be able to solve more problems. The art of coaching is one of Josh and I's favorite ones, because what we actually get to do is put that all together and put the coaching spin on it and become educators once again. Because I think, like, as a physio, you are an educator. As a strength coach, you are an educator. You're teaching, you're empowering, you're inspiring, and that's all things that coaches do. So what do the best coaches do? Okay, and how do we actually ingratiate that within our practice? And then the final week, what we do is we bring it all home and we put a nice little neat little bow on it, and we send you off on your way. And
The Proform commandments.
with the Proform commandments, that's exactly right. You know, so that's all of it there. All right.
Mm.
So, like, I mean, I know, like, Lara, you and I have talked a little bit about this, I guess, in the past, but I guess, you know, we've talked about at times like what your dream outcome is. And I think, like, right now, if I remember correctly, your first one was about just becoming a very, very good physio, you know, being really good physio and being so you position yourself in a position where you could be of as much help and impact to the people in front of you. Is that correct? But then you also had like a 5 to 10 year dream outcome, was that you wanted to move into like leadership, potentially owning your own business one day and your own clinic and that sort of stuff. And that to me is awesome. Like, and like, we want to champion that sort of stuff, because like for us, we love it. You know, we want people to think that big instead of, like, you know, perhaps like settling for like the status quo or or the mediocre. Has that changed, Lara?
Not in the last 3 days that we've spoken, which is good. Sometimes
Okay.
it changes.
I mean, you
like
know,
month to month
you are
replacement.
at you are at a careers day, so you know it might have been destroyed between 8 a.m. and lunchtime. So
Not yet,
I
not
guess that's
yet.
probably where he's asking from.
Yeah, you know, and look, and part of this question is like, you know, like, if you can think about what that looks like for you in the future, like, let's just say for you, Lara, right? Okay, if that, I guess, what sort of value would you put on something that could help you get towards you being in a position where in 5 to 10 years time, it's going to accelerate your ability to be able to potentially own a clinic, lead a whole bunch of little minions, be financially free, be able to impact, I guess, and address a number of different people, I guess, in a way that you want, that you feel as though it's better for the world and all those sorts of things. Like, you know, you don't have to answer me now, but like, you know, have you got an idea of what something like that would be worth to you?
I don't even know if you can put a number on something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't
No,
that
I
the
understood.
dream?
It is the dream.
Because with that sort of stuff being the case, and this is where, like, you know, we move into like the nitty gritty of like, I guess, what sort of packages we're offering in regard to like the Proform University and the Gemba. And I think as far as like what we have on offer, like I said, we've gone through, I guess, with the premium package. Okay, we've done our best to try to package this all together. And I guess what we've come up with is 60/50 plus GST, I guess, and that's inclusive of all the things that we mentioned, okay? All that lecture content for 12 weeks, all the live core content and access for us for 12 weeks, all the supplementary learning in terms of the self-directed learning. I've talked to you about the buddy time as well, okay, where it's an opportunity for you then to go ahead and network with other people, okay? Network with other people in the cohort, exchanging ideas with not only just any other physios, but I think in this particular cohort already, we've already got a few chiros, we've got a couple of UK physios that might be involved as well.
Could have someone from the Netherlands.
Potentially someone from the Netherlands. So like a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different experiences that you can leverage off. But I heard this saying, and I guess this is fairly common saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And there's a lot of value in your ability to establish a really, really cool network, you know, because suddenly what happens is that you, Lara, instead of you just being the physio, okay, you're the physio who knows people. You're the physio who's got the psychology contact. You're the physio that's got the nutritionist contact. You're the physio that's got the doctor contact. You know, you can start connecting people more and more and more, and people see a lot of value in that.
One of my favorites on that is your network is your net worth.
Yeah, network is your net worth. Yeah. And that's a good way to look at it too. We also give you access to the Proform U platform, as well as other course discussion points that we put up there weekly, as well as a couple of other things that we use to curate that platform. But the big things that differentiates the premium package from the other one is the one-to-one mentorship, you know, and that's really, Lara, if you're like, Andy, I want to kick this into overdrive and I want to learn as much as I can, as quickly as I can from people that have done it. What we would offer you then is like some one-to-one mentoring where you spend an hour every single week with, I guess, a senior member of the leadership team to be able to discuss the major pain points that you're having right now that you feel as though that's holding you back from being able to achieve your goals, you know. So if that's more clinical stuff, that's more clinical stuff. If that's more entrepreneurial stuff, that's more entrepreneurial stuff. If that's more like leadership, communication, soft skill stuff, it's more leadership, communication, soft skill stuff. It's choose your own adventure, you know, but we'll make sure that we equip you with the right people to make sure that you can excel on whatever those things are. All right, so that's the premium package at 60/50, right? The next one is that, look, if you're like, I love all that sort of stuff, but don't really give a crap about like the one-to-one stuff. Okay, I really just want the information. I want to be able to be involved in this community, and I want to do this for myself, and that's all. That's awesome, right? We've also developed the essentials package. You can see there's a bit of a price difference, but that's also because we're not factoring the time accounted for the expert one-to-one mentorship stuff. Okay, so you still get everything else. You still get the lecture, you still get the live calls, self-directed learning, buddy time, course discussion, as well as access to the Pro From You platform, and that's all there for 3,500 plus GST. You know what I mean? So all that stuff is there, and I think if you were to think about like if $3,500 or 60, 50, whatever the case is, right, was able to accelerate your ability to, like I said, potentially for you, Lara, one day, own your own clinic, be financially free, have a whole bunch of minions working under you, impacting your community in a way which is like hugely positive, it's really a drop in the ocean by comparison to something like that.
Yeah, like I think the stat is the average new grad salary is about 75 to 80,000 at the moment.
Yeah, 75, 80,000. So
under 10%.
Under 10% of that.
7.5% or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad equation. Would you agree, Lara? Like, how does that sound to you?
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad when you think about it.
As
Like,
an investment.
as an
yeah.
investment, like it's like, if it's going to do that for you, which we've actually got proof in the pudding that that's what it does do. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
So this is kind of what it looks like from a split view perspective. Okay. So it's just extra time with the mentoring stuff. Does that all make sense, Lars? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all well and good.
Fun facts.
But then
Bonus.
we're going to give you some cool stuff as well. Okay. So if you're committed to signing up today, right, we're going to throw in some extra stuff for you. Okay. Because I think one of the things when we did our market research is that there was still a lot of people that wanted clinical stuff, right?
Yeah, it was split 50-50 between the amount of people. Like we had well over 100 people give us feedback on it. And there was some people who just wanted clinical stuff. There's some people who just wanted more of this kind of like burnout related, like career development stuff. But then there was a lot of people who actually wanted both. So Andy and I have been, filming our in-service stuff for Proform internally as well. And we've been filming them on Loom and chucking them up on the platform for a while now. And we looked at each other when we saw all the feedback. We were like, well, why don't we give everyone both?
Yeah. So like with all this stuff, we are already on the in-service module. Effectively, we've already got like it's a 10-part.
I don't know how many joints are there in the book.
Yeah, like
10?
10-part joint by joint series on there. Pretty much everything detailed from top to toe. Okay. And we're releasing these modules weekly. Okay. And I guess we're going to continue to release stuff weekly. Okay. Throughout the course of the Gemba. Okay. Which you're going to have access to for life. Okay. If you sign up today. So you're getting continual education, like CPD education. You're getting continual education from a if you want to call it like a physiotherapy standpoint. Okay, as far as how we go about assessment, treatment, analysis. We're about to move into a period where we're going to look at things like strength and conditioning, weightlifting, running, speed, women's health,
CrossFit,
like, all these.
Name any other piece of thing that you could possibly want to learn about, and we've got it covered in the next little while.
100%, and I guess that's all housed within the school platform as well. And what you get access, we do so to give you an idea of how it works, we provide like pre-recorded lecture material that coincides with the copy, which is part of the extra information that you have. And there'll be some instances where we'll provide extra videos to help build out concepts, as well as little worksheets that if you wanted to follow along and answer for yourself, just to enhance your learning. So this sort of stuff, a course like this would sort of be valued in and around the sort of the $1,500 to $2,500 mark. And like I said, if you join on up, we're going to give it to you. Yeah, just cause.
Yeah, for context on that, Andy and I are still working out the finer details on that. But realistically, what we're settling on is this looks like it would be about $2,500 per quarter per 12 weeks.
Yeah,
because of the amount of information we're throwing at this thing.
Yeah, 100%. So like effectively, you get a 2-for-1. Yeah. Effectively, it's a 2-for-1.
It's a twofer.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. How does that, like? I saw you writing some stuff down, Lara. How does that sound to you? Like, I mean, like.
Yeah, no, because I think, that something like that sounds super helpful, because as much as, yes, I'm super excited to start learning all this networking stuff, at the end of the day, I'm only coming out next year as my first year. And so for me, it is still important to be able to start learning or continue to be learning about, those more clinical skills to a level as well. I don't want to just completely neglect that side of things. And like I said, my 5-year goal at the moment is just trying to become the best physio I can. And while I know it's so important, all that initial stuff that we're talking about, I can see the value in a program like
Yeah,
this as well.
absolutely. And I think like don't get us wrong. Like we talk a lot of smack about the Hawkins Kennedy, but it is still important to know how to identify those kinds of things.
Yeah.
The thing with all of that is that's why we're doing it, because we see the value in upskilling our own team and upskilling our guys. Otherwise, we would just make them sit through this course.
Yeah.
And we'd just leave it at that. We wouldn't have Friday morning in services anymore.
100%.
You know, like we value that very highly, and we put equal weighting on it. It's where the rubber meets the road is where those two join, and that's when you see that acceleration point.
Most definitely. You know, so yeah, it's just we just want to give value. That's all we want to do.
Good excuse for us to talk on camera too, really.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I guess factoring all that sort of stuff in now, like yes, if you could sort of sign up to something where it's going to hyper accelerate you towards your dream outcome, and you're going to get some extra clinical stuff, you know, like how much is that worth? Yeah, I mean I mean, like I almost like feel like it's that Inglorious Bastards thing. It's like, would you take that deal? I'd take that deal. You know, like
CEO of movie quotes, eh?
exactly right.
CEO
So
of movie
that's free of
quotes.
charge, by the way. But yeah, like I said, like that's where we're at. That's PFU in a nutshell. Thanks for bearing with us, Lara. I appreciate
No, thank
you on,
you
and
guys.
I appreciate I guess all the people that are sitting at home. Like just it gives you an understanding of what we're pouring our heart and our souls into, and like I said, all in the hope that it conveys the most amount of value. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one other question as well.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that
Hit us.
1 hour live lecture,
Yep.
is that something that will be recorded? Obviously with placements and stuff, I can't always guarantee that I'm gonna have my lunch break at 12 to 1. Is that a recorded lecture as
Everything,
well?
yep, everything is
Beautiful.
recorded and everything is uploaded.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
So I guess with the with the live call, because it's a little bit more dynamic, usually what we do is we record the Zoom conversation, and then we usually upload it to the weekly module that it's in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so if
perfect.
it's week 1, lecture 1, so when you go into the school platform, you'll access week 1, and then it gets added to that file. So that way it stays all nice and neat. Yeah, as it goes on through.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions that you had? Just like anything like as far as like on the time related stuff, like
No,
content.
no, this was super helpful, and I think that's definitely explained a lot. That was my one
Yeah.
kind of main question at this stage. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, right, you kind of touched on it right at the start that these things aren't things that are covered at uni.
Yeah.
If throughout the course, like one thing we want to do really like is we want to help as many people as possible. We don't want to see new grads just falling by the wayside, because I'm sick of it, to be honest. Like I've had enough. That's why we're doing this. That's why we give up our Wednesdays to do this. If any of your friends, you know, get a little at uni, get a little bit depressed about the topics coming out this afternoon at your careers day,
Show them this.
Yeah, I definitely
show them this.
will.
Like this recording will actually get put up on YouTube, and then it'll get emailed out to everybody as well, the same way the link was. Feel free to send them the link, send them our way. We would love to chat with anybody and everybody, and make sure that this stat goes away.
Yeah, totally. It's not good for anyone. As long as the stat is what it is, like
It doesn't help us.
Allied health professionals are in danger, you know. So we gotta do something about it.
No.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
it. I reckon we stop sharing now. We click the record button. Where are you? That's why I'll wait till this is all done. Where are you at right now, Lara? Have you got to run along to another careers thing?